Hello! Welcome to Everybody Yoga with Megan. I am Megan. If you are here as part of the May series, welcome back. We're happy to have you. If you are new and this is just on YouTube later, I like to have blocks or pillows available handy. We just never know when we're going to need a little support. And other than that, let's jump into child's pose. Taking any variation, knees close, knees far. Put a block under your forehead, put a block under your hips, whatever feels good for you. And all you need to do here is just breathe. Breathe in any way that feels good in your body right now. We will change our breath as we move, but for now, just settle in. Press yourself up to all fours. We're going to take 3 cow-cat here. Just articulating the spine one direction and then the other. Allow the belly to hang softly in cow pose. That's part of what makes this pose. And then pull it up and in for cat. One more time. Make your way to a neutral spine, and then just kind of wag your tail side to side. So we're taking a little baby crunch of the hip. And downward facing dog. Pedaling out. Coming onto your knees again. We're going to grab our block today or something with some mass, because we're going to use the mass of the item to penetrate the muscle, okay? So it's meant to be fairly uncomfortable. You're gonna put the block under, ladies, it's typically where like your bra would sit. Gentlemen, it's just under the armpit. And then let your bottom arm extend long. And then you're gonna hang out here for just a moment. Sorry guys, my allergies are still terrible. And after hanging out here for a moment, I just want you to rock a little bit forward and then rock a little bit back. Just really slow and steady here. A lot of us carry a lot of tension right here in the side body, so this can be really painful sometimes, based on how tender you are. You've got a few more breaths here. And when you're complete, you'll just make your way back to the center. You'll kind of know where that is. Take your other arm, your top arm, reach it overhead. Gently press yourself up. We'll move to the other side. Same thing as before, lining it up. Ooh. And then just hanging out first. My upper back is popping doing this. So obviously, there was some tension there that we just released on the other side. And then just like we did before, gently pressing our weight a little more forward and pausing. And then a little more backward and pausing. I personally am noticing that my left side is much more tender than my right side. Like this is much more uncomfortable. We just keep breathing. A couple more breaths. Coming back to the center. Top arm comes up and over. You just notice that the weight shifts a bit. And I should have said this sooner. If the block is just too much for you, roll up a towel, a blanket, something that's a little more firm, and gently press up. Because it is super intense, right? For me at least. It's like, ooh. All right, so sitting up nice and tall here, we're gonna continue with our flexion of our spine. We're in star pose. So the heels are further away from the hips. Lifting the torso up, arms come overhead, grab a wrist, tilt. Working to keep the shoulders stacked. Back up. Other side. And back up. Woo. We're gonna work on flexing forward. Back is straight, belly leans, spine is not curling. We're just gonna pause however we can, wherever we get to. Lift back up. Now we're going to take the opposite, kind of. You're going to curl the chin down towards the chest, and then the spine will roll, roll, roll. And this is all very painful, right? You just bring your props with you. Roll back up. If sitting flat is uncomfortable, sit on a towel or a block, okay? Now we're going to rotate, twist the spine. Opposite hand to opposite knee. Other side. Come back to the center. We're gonna hinge forward one more time. I know we did this the other day. It's just a really good way to get into the low back and the hips. So, you know, it's okay to do something more than once. I believe that's why it's called a practice. Lift back up, taking the curling of the spine again, chin to chest, roll it down. And back up. We're gonna take a little side flexion here, chin, whoa, that's your ear to shoulder, and then down. Kind of like a rag doll. We're gonna keep the shoulders stacked. And back up, starting other side, chin, good Lord, ear to shoulder, and then down. Apparently I'm on autopilot talking about chin to chest, that was the other pose. And back up. We're gonna make our way onto our backs. Settle in first, knees bent. Just let the spine have a moment of like, oh, okay, I'm on the floor. So a lot of times when we first lay on the floor, our back is really sore, right? The low back is like, oh, eek, what are you doing? But really over time, that natural curve of the spine gets to express itself. And so it's really good for the back. But it just might be a little uncomfortable at first. And once you feel nice and settled, walk your feet to the outer edges of your mat. Knock your knees in. For some people, this pose is really easy. If you don't feel anything, just be glad. For a lot of people, this rotating the hip and the socket in this direction is a little uncomfortable. And so that's what we're looking to do, right, is to open up that hip socket in a different way. So if you can sit in hero pose or reclined hero really easily, you're not probably gonna feel much here. And if you don't know what those poses are, that's okay, don't worry. All right, undo the knee knocking. Twist both knees to the left. Pause here. You might notice a stretch across the right front thigh. And if not, if you're not really feeling much, you take your left foot and you're gonna hook it onto the right knee so that there's a pulling sensation. And then you'll feel an opening from the low back potentially into the hip and down the right thigh. And always welcome, you can goalpost the arms, you can put them in a T, just whatever feels easy. We're bringing a sense of ease into our practice, into our day. Come back to the center, pause, feet are still wide, and just notice, how do you feel? Where do you feel what you feel? And then other side. So we're just starting at first with the rotation, and then deciding if we want the assistance of the other foot in our twist. So this is really a variation of our supine twist here. This one just tends to get more into the hips and the glute, as well as parts of the low back. You might also feel it in the knee if the knees are a little tight. So just as always, sharp side in pain means stop. Discomfort, well, keep your breath going. And sometimes you'll even notice after a big, deep breath, some of that discomfort dissipates. come back to the center, pause, feet wide still, and then bring the feet back kind of in line with your hips. Just notice how the low back and the hips feel. Is there any discomfort, anything that needs a little further stretch or breath? You're going to take your right knee over your left knee, pull your knees into your chest, little whale tail here. Release, other side. And release. We're coming to my favorite pose, legs long, arms by your side. Settle in for Savasana. There's nothing for you to do but exist. Come back into your body. Moving your fingers, your toes, your ankles, your wrists. Stretching, yawning. Come into a fetal position. And really let this fetal position feel nourishing. Curl in any way that supports you. Press yourself up to a simple seat. Bring one hand over your heart and the other hand over your hand. We're just taking a quick hug here. A moment with yourself, for yourself. Bring your hands to heart center. May we be the love we deserve. Namaste. Have a beautiful rest of your day, yogis. Thank you for sharing space and time with me. And of course, I always appreciate a like, subscribe, comment, share.